I'll forever die on the hill that 50-50 doesn't favor women. And before you jump in the comments, I'm not talking about partnership. I'm talking about what people think 50-50 means. Because on paper, it sounds fair, split the rent, split the bills, everything equal. But in real life, that's usually where the story stops. Women are still carrying most of the invisible work: cooking, cleaning, planning, emotional support, keeping the relationship running smoothly. Add to the fact that if you are a mother, you tend to receive lower wages than already low wages that childless women earn on a normal anywhere in the world. According to ScienceDirect, this motherhood wage gap has been reported in numerous studies, and it is allegedly claimed that women who choose to have more children or have them early are less oriented at occupational careers, or that employers discriminate against mothers. Now, there's also the part about the default caregiver being assigned to women as though it came with them as a factory setting. Research from International Journal of Social Science Research and Review shows that women across the globe continue to disproportionately shoulder the burden of unpaid domestic labor, a trend that is evident in nearly every country, regardless of economic development or cultural context. ILO in 2024 stated that globally, around 1.6 billion women and 800 million men are outside the labor force, with 45% of these women and 5% of these men citing care responsibilities as the reason for their non-participation. Among women aged 25 to 54, the proportion citing care as the reason for being outside the workforce rises to 2/3. Guys, that's about 379 million women. I mean, at every turn, a lot of women end up with something that looks equal on paper but doesn't feel equal in reality. Another research even implies that women's wages start to decline even before childbirth, suggesting that they may adjust their career choices in anticipation of family responsibilities. Meanwhile, men's wage gains appear largely unrelated to childbearing and the burdens that comes with it, and instead reflects employer bias or social expectations around fatherhood. Now, this is my biggest problem. If we can't even account fairly for equal wages that covers things like rent, food, taxes, and so much more, what about the emotional support highly demanded, actually defaultly demanded of women? These things run on effort, time, and energy, and consistency. Can you imagine doing that for however long it takes, or till the day you up and quit because you're tired? Now, here's where the conversation usually gets uncomfortable. Because whenever anybody brings up this topic, someone is always there to say, well, men work hard too. Of course they do. Most people in relationship are working hard in one way or another. That's not really the point. The point is that effort is easier to measure when it comes with a receipt. You can point to a rent payment, you can point to a utility bill, and so much more. But it's a lot harder to measure the person who remembers every birthday, every doctor's appointment, every school meeting, every grocery item that ran out, every conflict that needs resolving, and every tiny detail that keeps the household functioning. Yet, if that person stopped doing those things, most households would feel the impact almost immediately. This is what often gets lost in the 50-50 conversation. People are too busy counting money. They don't always count labor. They count visible contributions. They don't count responsibility. And they definitely don't count the mental load. The reality is that relationships are not business partnerships. No one is keeping a spreadsheet of every emotional conversation, every sacrifice, every career opportunity delayed, or every hour spent caring for a sick child. Unless resentment starts to build, of course. And these things usually fall on women. That's usually when people begin to realize that, yeah, what looked equal on paper wasn't actually equal in practice. Because equality isn't about dividing costs, it's about recognizing burdens. It's also about recognizing the heaviest burdens that sometimes nobody sees. In fact, research on unpaid care work continues to show that women perform a disproportionate share of domestic and caregiving responsibilities across much of the world, even when both partners are employed. Yes. The International Labour Organization estimates that 708 million women globally are outside the labor force because of care responsibilities, compared with 40 million men. Now, these are just the recorded cases, mind you. We don't know what happens unrecorded. That doesn't mean every relationship looks the same, of course. I mean, there are couples who genuinely share responsibilities well. There are fathers who are highly involved parents. There are households where duties are divided fairly based on circumstances rather than gender expectations. But that's exactly the point. The healthiest relationships are not obsessed with splitting everything down the middle. They are focused on making sure neither person is carrying an unfair share of the load. Me personally, I believe that that's why this whole 50-50 of a thing is virtually impossible, most especially when you have children. I believe healthy modern couples should move away, actually. It's currently happening, but more people should actually move away from it entirely. Instead, they should focus more on contribution, flexibility, communication, and support. So, my question now for everyone here is, what do you think is happening in your relationship? Are you guys splitting the bills, or are you actually sharing the relationship?